Hey everybody, welcome back. Wayne here. This week I want to talk about probably the most common question that we get in infidelity recovery work. And that's the question of why. Why did this happen? And truthfully, there really is no way to determine the why. Months, years, even a lifetime can be spent searching for the why. And the complexity lies in the multitude of factors driving that choice. For some, the infidelity is caused by baggage brought into the marriage, or it's a bad response to existing marriage problems. And rather than addressing issues head on and dealing with conflict in a healthy way, many individuals use a form of infidelity as a solution to their dilemma. At times, it's about an addiction, and at times it can even be situational where someone does something careless in the moment and then feels trapped and unable to disentangle themselves. The why is a central question when it comes to healing after an affair. It might be helpful for you to go watch Rick's 7-part series on the different types of affairs and even take the affair analyzer at affairrecovery.com if you haven't done that already. Another common question is, what does the other person have that I don't have? The other person has many things you don't have. And just as you have many things they don't have, none of us really are all that. But neither is the person with whom they had an affair. All that changes is how we view the other person. And typically, people enjoy how the affair partner makes them feel about themselves. In her book, Not Just Friends, Shirley Glass said, affair partners tend to serve as vanity mirrors, and the spouse serves as a makeup mirror. This is why the affair partner seems to be the preferred commodity, even though in the long run, it's really just an illusion. The person who lives like this still knows what they're doing is wrong, but they have to make the choice to own up to it. What happens after the affair is really just an afterthought. So another question is, why don't they feel any guilt? Really, only a very small percentage of the population experiences no guilt when acting out. The vast majority does feel the prick of conscience, but they use defense mechanisms to push that guilt away. Things like blaming and victim thinking and minimization, rationalization, and denial are techniques used as a way to justify their actions. If they have resentment toward their mate, they may justify their actions by feeling their mate deserves it, or just they really don't care. If they've been doing the behavior for a long period of time, their heart may have become hardened to the behavior, and it no longer seems that bad. A lack of remorse doesn't mean they have no conscience. It can be an indication that somehow in their mind, they have come up with a way to justify what they've done in order to avoid taking responsibility for their failure. Another common question is, did they really ever love me? And this one is really hard to answer. It all depends on how you define love. One thing is for certain. If someone betrays their spouse, I know what they've done is not loving. However, I believe every human being is capable of loving someone while at the same time acting in ways that are selfish and contrary to love. On the other hand, I believe many people have a very shallow understanding of love. They get married thinking they love their spouse, but in reality, they love how their spouse makes them feel about themselves. If that's the case, they will continue in the relationship as long as the marriage continues to make them happy. But if, for whatever reason, the marriage ceases to make them happy, or if they find someone or something that makes them feel even better, then it won't be long until the allure of something new draws them elsewhere. It's hard to know another person's heart, but it is possible that their journey into the forbidden may have also opened their eyes after the affair and helped them realize that you're what they really cherished. I see that all the time. At the very least, they are choosing to work on the relationship. I believe their betrayal and your response may be the very thing that begins to teach them the true meaning of love. Healing after an affair many times involves discovering what real love is. Another really common question is, what were they thinking? And sad to say, if they had really been thinking and considering the impact of their actions, there's a good chance they never would have done this at all. I can't tell you how many times I've heard both men and women state that if they had known the consequences of their actions before they acted, then they would never have done this. I think very few people rightly consider all the costs when they act out. For your sake and theirs, I wish they'd been thinking. These questions and many more are very common, especially in the early stages of recovery. I think we do have to be careful about the information that we want to know or what we think we want to know, because we can end up piling on all the feelings of victimization and powerlessness. And sometimes these questions can feed our obsession for more and more details that really may not be helpful. I do believe you need to know that you need to be able to put your arms around what happened, how long an affair went on, and what the specific details of the affair. But I want to encourage you to avoid questions that lead to comparison and obsession. There's no doubt in my mind that you need to ask questions about emotional, physical, financial, and psychological safety. However, I think questions that help you both discover the meaning and the motives behind the affair are more helpful to you, to your spouse, and to the relationship. You have to go slow. If you watched any of the videos, you know that I say frequently, going slow is going fast. Because when we go slow, we slow down, we actually get somewhere instead of just going around and around in circles over the same questions and the same answers. About 6 months down the road, questions like, what did the affair mean to you? Why do you think it happened when it did? Were you looking for it? Do you feel guilty? What have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about yourself in relationship since the affair? Did you ever worry that the affair would destroy us? Questions like that could be really helpful. One of my main goals of recovery is to help couples learn how to have intentional, rational conversations rather than conversations that are just driven by emotion. Emotions are fine and should be there. I just don't want them driving it. Because when the two of you learn how to rationally process what happened, then you can begin to find meaning and purpose and discover ways of greater connection. You know, if you're a wayward spouse and having trouble answering questions like these and navigating the turbulent process of recovery, I'd like to ask you to consider enrolling in Affair Recovery's Hope for Healing online course. The last thing you need is a program or a curriculum which doesn't address deception, transparency, empathy, or the pain that you're both feeling right now. This course will not only support you in your recovery, but provide specific insight into what the future can look like for you. I hope you'll give it a chance. I hope you'll check it out. It may just change your life. Thanks so much for joining me. It's always good to be with you, and I'll see you again soon.